Good morning. This is Howlin' Howie, and I'm the rookie groomer. I'm trying to be like Groomer Dave when I grow up. What I thought I'd do today is shoot a video of what a normal day is like for a groomer. And as the rookie, I think a lot of this has been a real revelation. I had no idea how hard this was. And just to give you a tip at the beginning, this is pretty much going to be an 8-hour day. So I start early, so it's about 5:30. I'm in my truck now, getting ready to head up. Take me about 20-30 minutes to get to the barn. And we had a lot of rain last night, so it's really misty. Kind of a miserable conditions to start out with, but we'll see how the day goes. So anyway, see you in a bit when I get to the barn. Okay, so we've arrived at the barn. First up is you want to transfer all your stuff over that you're going to deal with, and you start to get the tractor ready. So first up is you transfer your duffel bag, and your duffel bag has all the stuff you're going to need. You've got your food, your refreshments, extra clothes. I bring a hard hat just in case, and underneath is a bunch of electronics. So around, this is your aha moment, and there the babies all safely put away. And this is the one that we'll be using today. Give you an idea of the size of this thing, and as you see, it goes back forever. So this is the choo-choo you're going to be out there with for the day, dragging sand. Okay, so first up, we check the oil, check the hydraulics, make sure they're up to snuff, and you want to do yourself a visual check of the drag itself to make sure that your tires are fine, they're in good working order. You don't see any broken hoses or any busted blades or anything associated with the drag. Okay, and once we get that, then we'll start to get things moving and get to the cab itself and figure out what's going on. First up is we go through the checklist, and you page back through what's happened before to make sure that you're going to be doing the right trail. So I've confirmed that yes, I'm going to be doing Lincoln Hills, and the last time it was done was counterclockwise, so today we'll be doing that one clockwise. Give you an idea what the cab looks like. It's much more complex than people think. You've got your gas gauge over here. You got this little light that blinks if you have a traction situation. Basically, it's screaming you're just about to break your transmission. And for Chris Spencer, no, I've never seen that go off ever. You've got your joystick thing here, which is for the front to get your bucket tilted and up. And then, believe it or not, people think that like the drag is just a set it and forget it. It's much more complex. So you've got 4 buttons here for the front blades, the hitch, and the back blades, and then you've got back here for the wheels. So from here looking back, that's what you're going to be looking at for the rest of the day as you're going around out there. We do have some creature comforts. We have a radio up here, so you'll be hearing me blasting around to my tunes. I'm more the progressive rock kind of guy. I think Dave is more the country western kind of guy. Okay, just to give you an idea of what we work with. So this is the map that I'll be following today, and that's our Lincoln Hills map. And then over here is the Little Manistee map. So you can see that we don't actually groom exactly the way that most people think of these trails in terms of what's Little Manistee and Lincoln Hills. The Lincoln Hills, actually I'll be doing the northeast part of Little Manistee as well. Okay, we're just about ready to go, and final check. And just so folks know, tractors don't have suspension. So what they have is a seat that bounces. So you're going to have to sit here while the seat's bouncing, try to hold on to a steering wheel, and keep your feet somehow planted. And basically, if you start to think about the dynamics, it's like doing about 1 million squat thrusts throughout a day. So it's pretty physical. It's not just sitting around in an easy chair. It gets quite a bit of workout, and I usually wear my fitness watch, and that pretty much tells me that I've basically done an Olympic event every time I go around on this thing. So it is quite a workout. It is going to be a long day. There is going to be a lot of bouncing, but here we go. And the last piece is how do you make this thing go? So it does have a gas pedal. You got your brakes over here. You got a clutch here, but really you control the thing over here. So you've got a throttle here. You bring it up full throttle, and then you get your speed stick here with the fine dial here. It's kind of like playing a video game at times. You never use this unless you want to break the transmission, and it's more for fine stuff. Brakes are always hitting the center. I'm more of a clutch guy, so I'm probably one of the few that's using this thing quite a bit. But it's not as easy as it looks at first, but you get used to it, and pretty much can handle it okay. As far as the speed we're doing today, your speed's over here. Obviously I'm sitting still. We generally run on the trails. It depends on the conditions. So I asked one time when I started, what's the speed that you run at? Stupidest question ever, because the trail tells you what speed you're going to run at. If it's really rough and bouncy, you may be only going 5 miles an hour. If it's a little bit sandier, drier, then you're going to run up about say 9 miles an hour. For today, we had rain last night. The sand still looks pretty wet, so I got a feeling it's going to be slow going at first, and then throughout the day we may pick things up a little bit. It also, since I'm doing Lincoln Hills, it depends on the topography, so there's a lot of real steep climbs, and if you're dragging wet sand as opposed to dry sand, it makes a huge difference. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so we're starting out, and we're starting out at 7 Mile. It took about 45 minutes to get here, and as you can see, that nice ribbon coming out the back, and basically what makes that happen is the blades in this area, they come down and cut into the hills, and we like to do what we call what Chris calls, Chris Spencer calls knocking the memory out. So rather than just pull sand along and just spackle in between the ridges, we actually cut down and cut those ridges out so that they don't just come back again, but it's all fresh sand. This area where the blades cut down in, and this is what Dave refers to as the hopper, and this fills up with sand, and this is what causes a lot of the drag to occur. So you want to make sure that you're cutting down low enough to knock the memory out, but you've got to make sure that you don't overfill the hoppers and cause too much drag, and especially when you're going up hills, you have to really keep on top of that. So these blades will be coming up and down. It's not just a set it or forget it. These blades will be coming up and down depending on what's in the hopper, and I'll be watching that from the tractor in the mirror. And then you also have to watch the wheels in the back. When we get to intersections, wheels have to come down to get the groomer up, so that we don't cause problems there. And then the front is important. This is where it attaches, and that we can raise and lower it so that the front here, you want to make sure that it's resting on the sand so that this isn't rocking. But at the same time, you don't want to push down so much that these are submarining in, and then you're also just increasing drag. You just want this to kind of stabilize it and to keep things moving along. The other thing to note is that as you're driving, you see that you got this huge thing behind here when you've got just as much real estate in the front. You've got this huge scoop out the front. So the trick is to make sure that you're not hitting a tree with that thing, or the berms you'll see as we're going along. You've got to be watching the front very carefully, make sure that you're steering correctly so you get through these curves. And also you want to watch the tires then. So the root balls, just like it is for an ORV, the sides of these tires are pretty scarred up on root balls. So you want to make sure you keep these tires off, because if you have a flat tire on one of those, under the trail, that's a very bad thing. And this this is a lot of the art of it. So when you come to an intersection like this, you want to bring up the blades. So you empty the hoppers. So you come across the road, so you're not dragging sand across the road and making a ridge. And then you want to bring those blades back down. And I'm doing it a little slower because I'm trying to video. And you bring the blades then back down after. Get yourself back in track. So again, it's not a set and forget it. You're actually getting up and down on it to make it again as smooth and as you can without messing up the roads. One of the things I learned, I started out on the snow, and so I made a big deal about these mirrors on the side. And I really like those things, and I used to get really annoyed when I'd find this right-hand mirror flat against the cab because it's hard to adjust that one. But I was the guy that was always adjusting these things and getting them perfect. And in the spring, what I found was why everybody laughed every time I was talking about adjusting the mirrors, because these become essentially worthless. You're going to see as the growth comes out, these overhangs, we're going to get into some of the denser part, and those mirrors are the first thing to go. They get flattened against the cab, and so the mirrors that you're actually using are internal. And so you get used to this one over here, and then you're turning your neck a lot and looking backwards. So it's a much different ride in the spring, and a much different technique, and probably then I'm going to have to adjust in the winter and just do it like everybody else. So anyway, talk about being careful on the blind curves. It becomes especially important on a hazy day like this when we're out at the tractors, because you come around this corner, you're going to meet a tractor, and it's not going to be a pretty thing. So be very careful out there in the corners, and watch out for the groomers during the day. Usually we are out at early in the morning, usually off by around 2. So for the early birds like to go out because nobody else is out, so they can go faster. It could be a tractor that could be the thing you're coming up against. So just be careful out there.